Hello there, my beautiful Leo signs. This is Rachel with Dark Knight Coaching. Today's video is going to be a traditional Celtic cross spread. I pull up some clarifier cards for you, Leo, and we can just kind of see what's going on in the energy. So I do believe this is a love reading. If you're not interested in love or don't care about love right now, then this reading is probably not for you. So, take whatever resonates and then leave the rest behind for someone else. Also remember, Leo, that energy is fluid, and this can be for Leo, sun, moon, rising signs, even in your Venus. Whoever's guided to watch these videos, there's probably something here for you, because I don't believe in coincidence. I think everyone is divinely guided to certain places, certain messages, certain videos at certain times. So there's probably something you need to hear, and you should probably settle in with a cup of coffee or something, because there's quite a lot of chaos and quite a lot of healing that's happening. So you're moving out of conflict, Leo, and into harmony. It is just a process that's going to take some time and some introspective work, but I do feel like you're doing the work and you're putting the time in for yourself to figure out what love means to you, Leo, and how to heal past wounds, past traumas, past cycles that were maybe not so great for you. And a lot of you watching this video might be a man, because I have I have the King of Cups here, excuse me, and I have a Page of Cups, and I also was guided to listen to the song by Salt and Peppa. It was What a Man, like that classic, I think it's from the 90s, like what a man, what a man, what a man. So I don't know why, it was just like popped into my head. So that's cool. I just follow the divine guidance, and here's where we are. So let's dive right in, Leo. You have the Seven of Swords. This is about escapism. So something right now is making you feel like you want to run away from your problems. This person is taking as many swords as they can carry and going off. So can also be like you're taking whatever you can take with you and you're moving out or leaving a situation, like with the shirt on your back. You don't even care at this point, because there's some conflict going on. So your challenge right now is the conflict. It's the Five of Wands. Something is not right, and you're maybe fleeing or trying to escape through. Sometimes we do that through bad habits. It can be like overeating. It can be gambling. It can be, sex, drugs, rock and roll, like all that sort of stuff. Like it can be just those tempting things where we get like instant gratification, but we know for the long term it's not really good for us. And that's usually what the Seven of Swords kind of symbolizes. But the foundation of the situation and why it's happening and what's happening for you, Leo, is the Seven of Wands. You're standing up for yourself, your belief system, your values, by almost, I don't want to say creating the conflict, but by not going along with whatever this situation is. Like you're going against the grain, and it's like rubbing someone the wrong way, but it doesn't matter, because your basis, your intention here is to stand up for yourself. And sometimes we have to do that with boundaries, with there's lots of ways, really. So it depends on the situation for you. But I do feel like this definitely has to do with love, because in the past here, you have the Two of Cups. So if this is a relationship that was toxic or abusive or just unhealthy in some sort of fashion, it's kind of your validation to move on, to move forward. And, when we do find ourselves in toxic patterns, it's usually because there's something very familiar about that person, or the way that they care for us. So from the ages of 0 to 7, as we're children, the people that raised us and basically you can kind of think about that age as being like a computer. That's when we get all of our downloads on how to love, what personalities we develop, the things that kind of ignite us and our passions and those sorts of things. But when we don't have the proper mother figure or father figure, we end up with these wounds that we carry through our life. And most of the time, we're drawn to people romantically that are very similar to our caregivers. It's almost like a weird Oedipus type of complex, but a lot of people do it subconsciously without even knowing it. And, sometimes we're drawn to people who have similar trauma to us, because that feels comfortable, feels familiar. It's like, oh, you understand, you know what this is like, and then you bond, and it creates a trauma bond. or some sort of codependent thing. But I feel like at this time, Leo, you're really seeing something very clearly because you have the Judgment card here. So it's like you're seeing a situation maybe that you were in very clearly. The Judgment card is like you're connected with spirit, you're connected with your crown chakra, you're very much so aligned with your higher self. This can also be a card of like your guides or your spirit guides, your loved ones, your ancestors are very connected with you at this time. I also think of this card as like, is your heart lighter than a feather? Have you done everything with like the purest and in the most authentic way for yourself and for the greater good? So as long as you're not being like sneaky or betraying and deceiving someone, your karma's clear. And I do feel like you're learning how to love yourself in a different way, and you're learning what the expectations are for people who want to be in a relationship with you. Now, you do have the Lovers in your near future. And now, when I say near future, near is subjective. Anytime Spirit says soon, or anybody says soon, it can be a varying time frame. Like, it's all on divine time. Like, this can be 4 months. Maybe in 4 months you'll find someone who's very compatible with you. But in the meantime, Leo, I do feel like your power, your control in this situation is the Star card. It's healing. It's Aquarius energy. So it might be around Aquarius time frame in January, where you meet and connect with someone. I do feel like if you have Virgo in your chart, that's probably very significant, because I have a Virgo friend who I do think will be meeting someone as well in Aquarius time frame. So that might be a significant message. But the Star card is all about healing. It's about wishes granted. It's about your manifestations kind of coming true. So if you've had a vision for what it is you want in a partner and what it is you're looking for, it is going to happen. In divine timing. Now, the next card I have is like, how is this affecting people around you? They see you as the King of Cups. They see you as very stable, very sure of yourself when it comes to love. You're probably overly loving, overly giving, especially if you're a female watching this and you pull the King of Cups. It's like you've had to play the role of both sides. Maybe you've even had to be like the mother figure and the father figure, not only for your children, but maybe just for yourself. Like, you've had to figure out and heal yourself to heal these mother wounds, these father wounds. And sometimes that means refathering or remothering yourself, even at, whatever age. You could be in your 20s, you could be in your 30s, you could be in your 80s. Like, it doesn't matter. So I do feel like it's going to bring you a lot of peace, because your hopes and fears section is the Six of Swords. This is all about moving from choppy waters into calmer seas. Water is tied to emotions. So I do feel like emotionally you're moving on, but then you also have the swords. So swords are tied to air, like our mind, our thoughts, those sorts of things. So I do feel like you're maturing when it comes to your perceptions of love and your expectation when it comes to reciprocity from someone. And I do think that's going to be very positive, because you have the Queen of Pentacles. So this queen is a very cool, comfortable, stable queen. This is your potential outcome here. So it's like you will have the opportunity to not only like pamper yourself, but to fall in love with yourself and to be like chill when it comes to love. Maybe in the past you've been like overly excited. Maybe you've been codependent. There's a TikTok lady. She talks about like the golden retriever and the black cat energy. So you might want to look up that, because that's been very helpful, even just to me, to understand like the role that I have played in past relationships. So I've always been a golden retriever, like so excited to see someone, so excited to have a plan. I'm the one that gets things going. And I feel like you've probably been that as well, because the King of Cups usually like takes charge when it comes to love. But I feel like in this next phase, in this next opportunity for a relationship, you kind of have to take like a step back. You have to be calm, cool, collected. And you got to be like, this is a cool pinnacle, but I don't know if I want it. Is it worth it? I don't know. But if somebody wants to try, okay, I'll let him. So in your subconscious energy, Leo, you have the Ten of Swords. Again, I feel like this is like you're done with the old ways. You're like, stick a fork in you. You're done. You realize now that whatever love cycles you've been in have not been helpful to you. Maybe it's been helpful to somebody else, but all it has left you with is like betrayal and deceit and lies that you've maybe unearthed over quite some time, or just you've seen the people that you've loved without a rose-colored lens. And I think it's been enlightening, but it's also been disheartening in a way. Now, you have the Page of Cups as well, so it's like you're not taking immature offers of love anymore. Anything that's not serving you, you're just letting go of it, because the Page of Cups is an immature offer of love. I also think of this card as like the dating apps and those sorts of things. So some of you might be on the dating apps or considering getting on the dating apps. It might be a synchronicity to go ahead and try that, but use discernment. So you are divinely guided, you are connected. So make sure you're really trying to listen to your inner voice and that inner knowing that we all have within. All right, Leo, I am going to dive into the oracle cards. That's all I had when it comes to this traditional Celtic cross spread. So hopefully that helped. If it did, please smash that like button. It helps my channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested in a one-on-one coaching session, I do a lot of different modalities of lifestyle coaching. It can be fitness. It can be, mental health related, trauma healing. You can use divination cards just like I'm doing here. So if you want a personalized tarot reading, I can do that as well. Or if you just want like a quasi-therapy session, I can do that as well too. So just feel free to book on the website if you're guided. And then I will probably have an extended video for this as well posted in the description box below. So if you feel guided to check that out, I just dive a little further into this energy and I pull a couple more tarot cards with a different deck and see what other messages Spirit has and your guides have to help you while you're on this path here. All right, 2 more, 3 more. Wow. Yeah, something about finances. I think you're worried about finances right now at this moment too, because of that Queen of Pentacles, and then you have another card that came out. So that might be a worry that you're having, because you have the abundance card here. So the abundance card is tied to your solar plexus chakra. I like to think of the solar plexus chakra as our powerhouse. It's basically like our willpower, but it's also kind of where our personality lies, and it's a combination of our level of empathy and our level of narcissism. Now, both of those things are basically the light and the dark aspects of our personality traits, and in order to be functioning in this sort of society, we need a little bit of healthy balance of both, and that is what allows us to set these boundaries. So if you're too narcissistic, you basically lean into psychopathy. And if you're too empathetic, it can be a toxic empath where you are a doormat and then you almost like get off on being treated poorly. So there has to be a happy balance where you have, self-worth, self-value, but you're not in a grandiose sort of state where you're better than everyone else. It's just a happy medium. Now you also have, from the archetypes deck, you have the eternal child. I do feel like this has to do with your childhood wounds. So you're healing those things. You're seeing them for what they are. And that's this Aquarian energy. Now, to heal trauma, I saw somewhere it can take up to 2 years to feel safe again if you've been in some sort of traumatic situation. So if you have PTSD or something like that, it can be up to 2 years of building safe, healthy habits and new routines before you feel really comfortable moving on. But I do feel like for a lot of you, that's cool. It kind of looks like the solar plexus as well, the little sun there. I do feel like for a lot of you, you're healing those childhood wounds, those childhood traumas, and you're trying to move forward. And it's giving you a sense of freedom, it looks like. So it says you are releasing any self-imposed restrictions or perceived limitations through the loving energy of openness. Now, sometimes when we have trauma, when we have situations in life that happen to us, we might overshare that information because we're looking for validation from other people, and we're also looking for we're still processing the pain, basically. So if we discuss our wounds or things like that happen to us, we're still trying to understand it and we're still trying to process it. And sometimes people do that orally, where they just kind of spew information of what's going on in their life to strangers. And it might be a little off-putting to some, but it's just because you're processing some major experience, and you're really looking for someone who might have an understanding. So sometimes if you can find a group of people that can be helpful, and there's not like, there's no like trauma group sign up, but even just finding a tribe online, or finding guides or shamans, or life coaches, whatever, just to chat with, can be very helpful. Because a lot of times I've found in therapy, like, there's not very many therapists that have an understanding of what it's actually like to go through trauma, because they've never really had to experience that. So all they know is like textbook level stuff, and it can be very hard to iterate your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, and the processes that you go through, because basically you're going through a cycle of grief no matter what, because you're healing this like inner child, this wounding that happened to you, where somebody took advantage of your kindness, or somebody took advantage of you, and it can leave you feeling very lonely. But I do feel like there's a very big shift happening for you, Leo. It's just a slow progression. Now, you have the light card. This says, weave your spells by the light of the stars and listen to your inner voice. Again, that's connecting with your higher self, your crown chakra. If you don't know about chakras, make sure you check out my videos on chakras. I tried to put them in as like layman terms as possible, but everyone has chakras. This is a scientific fact. It's been proven. And when you heal and open your chakras and get them functioning properly, it heals the trauma that's been held in your physical body and your auric body. So we carry a lot of traumas with us without even really realizing it. Now, the third eye card I have says practice. It says, have fun with your intuition. Try out silly guessing games and have a laugh. What's the football score? Try to intuitively discover the score before you check and write it down. Then check back to see if you're right and see if you can hone those senses. Let's see. You have the moon card that says, I am always mindful and live only within each moment I have. That's about being in the present moment. Sometimes when we find ourselves living too far into the past, that's where regret, grief, remorse pop up. And when we find ourselves living too far in the future in our minds, in our mind state, it's anxiety. So if you don't want anxiety and you don't want regret and remorse to like take over your mind, try to just be in the now. And sometimes that's very difficult to do when you're going through shifts and changes. And fives are all about change. And in this case, there's a lot of conflict and fighting with someone. So the next card I have is To Be Fair, number 38. This is about the scales of balance. We are in a Saturn retrograde at the moment, and we will be in a retrograde until mid-November, I believe. I think it's like November 14th or 15th. So there's a lot of karmic retribution that's coming back into play right now. There's a lot of balance that you will be seeing. A lot of truths will be being revealed. There's a very popular case about a rapper that's his true intentions have been unearthed. So that's part of, I think, this karmic retribution cycle for him. And for a lot of people, they will be unmasked during this time. So just be cognizant of that. And let's see, the next moon card I have for you is the first quarter moon. So something significant about that time frame, but definitely some shifts happening in the October 2nd, the south lunar node eclipse in Libra is going to cause a little bit of chaos and conflict and things like that. So your commitment is being tested. And I think this is the commitment you're making to yourself with your solar plexus, your willpower, and setting these boundaries and having a good understanding of what it is you want when it comes to love and how to love yourself, more importantly. Now, the last card I have for you is from my I Ching deck. It says, you are rich, either in material goods or in knowledge, wisdom, power, energy, talent, or relationships. Whatever form it takes, you have something real and potent in your possession. That which you have or are, you can give. This pure potential is an opening to source and a promise of abundance. Given all you have, who will you be, and how can you affirm and support what is good? It says, from the source, creating success. And I do feel like you're being divinely guided. You're connected. So how are you going to transmute this pain? What are you going to put your energy into, or who? Because energy is an exchange. So, spending time with someone, you're exchanging energy, whether you realize it or not. So there's a lot of, I think there's just a lot of emphasis on setting healthy boundaries here, Leo. So I am going to go do the extended now. If you feel guided to come watch that, feel free. I'm going to pull some love oracle cards and some more tarot cards and see what other messages Spirit has for you. If you're not guided to go to that, that's fine. Just, you heard whatever it is you needed to hear today. And I thank you for watching this, and I thank you for being here. And I will see you next time, Leo.